reagent for creating albedo and void salt. Oh my gosh! I didn't come across that word. But I recognize that. I recognize that. Still don't recognize that word. Reagent for creating bedo and sun salt. Okay, am I sure I don't recognize that word? Philosopher's Stone! Ah! That's the magnum opus! That's the great work to create the Philosopher's Stone so you can make everything into its purest being. Oh my gosh! Oh! Okay, game devs, can I give you more money? Wow. Oh, I don't recognize this word. Hang on. Is this anywhere in my notes? The only word that words that start with the C don't really match up to that. Ah, dang though, dude. Because this is an alchemical process. That's an alchemical process. I'm guessing that is, but it wasn't in my book. Maybe it's in a different one. That's an alchemical process. And that is the great work. And hilariously, if you play Genshin Impact, Albedo's name, hilariously, is an alchemical process, and he's an alchemist. Here, let me look at my notes and tell you a little bit about that. Because I wrote it down. Yeah, all of those things are part of the 7 stages of alchemy necessary for any transformation. These stages are part of the great work, or magnum opus, as we just saw. You need these stages to reach the stone, again, as the game just showed us. The 7 stages has 3 phases. The blackening, or how do I pronounce that? I wrote the pronunciation. Ni-gray-do? That sounds too close to saying a word I shouldn't say. Apologies, but that's just how it sounds. It's an alchemical process. I swear I'm not actually saying the other thing. Okay, the whitening, which is albedo, and the reddening of bedo. Calcination? Is that how I'm supposed to say that? Calcination of the blackening, because I'm not saying it the other way again. This entails burning a substance over a flame with a liquid fire, such as an acid or corrosive chemical, until the substance is reduced to ashes. The word itself means reduce to bone by burning. Maybe I should have put educational in the tags, because I'm kind of telling you some extra information that I'm not sure the game's going to go over. Okay, the dissolution? I think it's dissolution, because there's not an A in there. Stage of the blackening, sometimes called solution. It takes ashes produced in calcination, I haven't read some of these words before, so forgive me if I say it wrong, and dissolves them in a liquid solvent. I haven't seen that one either before. Now, I even note this. I don't know how to say some of what the book talks about here, because there was more on this, so I didn't write it down. Plus, it goes into the mental and spirit part of alchemy, and we're focused on the lab work. Because I wanted to see how exact the game is. And so far it's on point with just the proper knowledge. And oh man, if I can give them some extra support, I'm so doing it when I can afford to. Give them $10 or $20. Patreon supporter or something. They deserve it so far. Okay, now we're moving on to a different part of it. The separation stage of albedo. Discards waste from dissolution and calcination to retrieve the matter's essential parts. To accomplish separation, the liquid parts of distillation is usually passed through a filter or porous paper. Now, the book didn't explain this, but I actually did that when I made my lavender liquid thing. You need like a drainer you'd use for noodles or something, like you're straining out the water. Or you use a coffee filter, something like those things. Okay. The conjunction stage of albedo takes purified matter from separation and creates an altogether new substance. Alchemists call this new substance the child of conjunction. Failing to create a new substance means that the matter extracted from separation is contaminated and alchemist's experiment failed. Now, I'm sorry if some of this is going over your head, because I only wrote down the important parts for the physical alchemy, which is the lab work. I didn't write down a lot of the parts for the spirit and mental part. And I'll go over more detail on some of the spirit part, because that might make some people kind of leery. Don't get me wrong, I was worried about it too, but alchemists consider soul and spirit different things. At least for the most part. Okay, the fermentation stage. Fermentation? I'm gonna go with that. Fermentation stage of rubedo is where the child from conjunction is matured with fermenting bacteria over a low controlled heat, unlike the direct flames of calcination. Fermentation is where the fetus of conjunction slowly grows as the introduction of bacteria animates the matter to take a new form. I'm reading my own notes to you, by the way, and I hate reading out loud, so be grateful. The distillation stage of rubedo purifies the new fermented substance to its essence through evaporation or repeatedly purifying a substance liquid. The book went over a more complicated way to say that, but I made it more simplified. That's basically what it meant, though, doing that. I didn't know how to say half the words the book was talking about. Which is why I made the simplified version. Oh gosh, I don't know how to say this word. The caldulation stage? I probably said that wrong. Of rubedo is the final stage of alchemical transformation, where essence refined and distillation is solidified. It's when the child of conjunction is born, and all this work takes form both physically and metaphysically. It touches more on other parts of alchemy here, so I'm not copying it down. Any more that I write down will be things interesting to me, or what I hope games have done, or at very least mention. So that was all very important information regarding all of this stuff right here. It tells you, the book told you exactly what you're supposed to do with it. And I just gave you all that information. Which means I can get rid of this now. Now I got this out of one book and I didn't even fully finish reading it yet. And I know you can't just trust one source for information, but it's the only book I've read so far. I'm not done with it yet. So please, be nice. But let's go over what alchemy actually is, because when you play a lot of video games, you just make potions. And don't get me wrong, that's the chemistry part of alchemy. So that is still alchemy, but it's not what alchemy really is supposed to be about. In my notes, I copied this from the book, but kind of did out my own words too, is alchemy is the art of transformation. The goal of alchemy is transformation for the better, be that actual gold or a golden spirit. Alchemy is all about uncovering the essence of everything. Now, shall I go over this? I suppose so, since it just told us about this stupid thing. The great work, or the other name, magnum opus, is bringing the four elements together: water, earth, fire, and air. You do this to create the Philosopher's Stone. Now, I don't think it works the same way as the thing in Harry Potter where it made you immortal. All it actually does is it's a physical substance capable of transforming anything into its highest form. Which, this is my own note, I don't think this is an easy thing to do or quite at all possible, because these elements cancel each other out, water and fire being the most obvious ones. I don't know how you can combine those elements together without them canceling each other out. I'm not sure anyone's ever gonna figure out how to do that, if I'm honest. Yeah, I brought this up in Ion, but did you know there's an international alchemy guild? It's probably still around today, but I haven't looked it up. But even today, people still study alchemy. There's 3 types. Physical, which is the lab work. Mental, which is focused on bettering the mind. And then there's spirit. Please note, alchemists say spirit and soul are not quite the same thing. Please don't worry about whatever faith or religion you have. Because I have a religion, and alchemy doesn't bother me. Besides, it's about bettering yourself. I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. Now, some parts of alchemy may hit areas a person's not comfortable with. And to that I say, once you've come to a part that you're not comfy with, like it touches magic or something, you need to withdraw unless that's what you were looking for. Because alchemy does touch on magic, but if that's not what you were looking for, back away from it very quickly. You're in the wrong spot. Alright, now, from what I understood, spiritual alchemy works almost about the same as mental alchemy, bettering your spirit, because alchemy is all about making things into their purest form. Some alchemists even believed you couldn't make the Philosopher's Stone unless you were pure. Now, I don't know if they mean your pure self or you're a virgin. I have no idea. It didn't really go into further detail on that. Now, if any of you are wondering about the book I've been reading, it's Practical Lessons and Exercises to Enhance Your Life, The Beginner's Guide to Alchemy, by Sarah Durand? I'm not sure how to pronounce her last name, but the title alone should help you find it. I have other alchemy books, but I haven't opened them yet. There could be conflicting information, so please note that. Now, the rest of these notes is just things I want to see if the game will mention or touch on. Obviously, it's mentioned the Philosopher's Stone, but if they didn't do that, I was gonna scream. Because that is what alchemy's all about. That's the magnum opus. That's the great work. That's what every alchemist wants to achieve. But alchemy has its roots everywhere. It's philosophy, it's writing, it's reading, it's art. Heck, it's smithing, it's jewelry making, painting, drawing, sketching, you name it. Alchemy has its place everywhere. It has roots in almost everything. It's so amazing. Now, I'll leave my notes up, but we went over all the important stuff, because as soon as I saw this, I knew I had to look at my notes.